Greetings to everyone. I am Yash, and I am working towards implementing Kubernetes Operator for Mifos Fineract or PHE. So I will start with explaining about what I'm working with. So Kubernetes Operator is like a operator extension or method for extending Kubernetes capabilities to manage complex applications. It uses custom objects and control loops for managing softwares in the cluster. It is used for automating tasks like deployment, scaling, and backup, reducing the need for manual intervention, and ensuring the application runs reliably and efficiently within a Kubernetes cluster. Now, where exactly I'm applying it? So I am working towards creating an operator which will be used in deploying the Mifos created artifacts in the payment hub. Here, Mifos created artifacts means the deployments which is currently being done in the payment hub that are created by Mifos. These are to be deployed using operators like the connectors, importers, operations app, operations web, and others. Now, doing this will solve problem like we can easily change the resources for these deployments. So it will be beneficial when dealing with different system specifications, which will eventually help DevOps and system admins with a more simplified deployment and greater degree of control. Now I shall proceed uh, with a weekly overview to what I have done till now. So I'm successfully applying the following the weekly plannings I shared in the project proposal. Starting from first 2 weeks, I started gathering knowledge for the technologies I'm supposed to use, making myself comfortable with Mifos, repos, and with the Kubernetes operator. Then specifically on the Kubernetes operator, I started setting up and using existing operators to understand the structure and functionalities of operators. In the way, I created a Go-based custom operator and a Java-based custom operator for a test application. Then to next, moving on to next 2 weeks, I worked on creating Helm chart for the deployment of the test operator. Then started with understanding custom uh, current Helm-based payment hub deployments. I started with deploying the payment hub to an Azure AKS cluster. In order to understand the configuration of each deployment in payment hub, I started setting up its deployment in an 8GB Ubuntu virtual machine as directed by vendors. The deployments face many issues since they are to be optimized for lower systems. Hence, researching the resource requirements and configurations of each part of payment hub deployment. I worked on the current configuration and calculated required resources to deploy payment hub in lower systems. Then, fifth week, I started solving all the other errors current deployment in virtual machine had. Solving errors provided me a much better understanding of the Helm configurations for each subchart in payment hub. Uh, then here are the screenshots for deployment status in Azure and for 8GB system. Many of the problems I resolved here, but still some resource related problems are here. Now, uh, finally, in 6th week, that is this week, I have started the development of operator. I have created CRD structure and currently working on the reconciliation logic for the deployment of pod with its service account cluster roles and config map setup, and will be sharing that with the mentor soon for review. So now I'm following this plan for the operator development, starting with a deployment of one Mifos artifact, then replicating it for all the Mifos artifacts, considering the required configuration changes, then configuring each deployment with required environment variables and dependencies, then finally adding the conditions for deployments and then further solving any errors, rechecking and testing each and every configurations. Uh, here is a list of Mifos created deployments. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yash. This would be a really great project to have completed as the deployment of Payment Hub is highly complex, so there's some coordination with all the other efforts we have around DevOps and deployability will be much welcome enhancements and benefits for the community as a whole.